What's going on, guys? It's your friendly neighborhood substance enthusiast Numbskull here, and for today's video, I've got something a little bit different. This isn't one of my own stories, this is actually a trip report that a friend of mine sent me. He wrote the whole thing out and said I'm free to share it here if I want, and honestly, it's wild, I like the writing, and I think it fits the channel's vibe perfectly. So I'm gonna read this pretty much exactly as he sent it in, word for word. I actually planned on recording and releasing another trip report of my own, including some very similar substances, plus a couple of extra ones. Anyways, here's his story. Sit back, relax, enjoy a hit of whatever you fancy. Let's all get immersed into this experience for a bit, yeah? The substances he took are Amanita muscaria gummies, allegedly, about 2,000 milligrams extract total, allegedly, cannabis, and kratom. I was setting my apartment alone at first. Later, my girlfriend came over. Now, keep in mind, as I said, reading this exactly how he sent it in. When I say my, it's from his perspective. Continue. Experience level. Experienced with weed, kratom, psychedelics, and some dissociatives. This is his first real deep dive into amanitas. So, ingestion. T plus 00. I ate the bag of Amanita gummies around 7:45 p.m. The taste was earthy and weirdly sweet. Not great, but not gag-worthy. Right after, I packed a bowl of weed and put on some ambient music. My stomach felt heavy, kinda like after eating normal psilocybin mushrooms. Um, my bad, it's laid out a little strange up here at the start. T plus 45 minutes. First alerts. At first, it was subtle. My body felt warm, like a mild fever, but not uncomfortable. My vision dragged slightly when I turned my head, almost like my eyes were lagging. I smoked again, and that's when the high started to feel different. Not weed, not kratom, something stranger. T plus 1 hour, 30 minutes. The shift. Suddenly, my apartment didn't feel real anymore. It was like I was sitting inside of a stage set version of it. The lighting looked unreal, almost theatrical. My couch didn't look like my couch, looked like the idea of a couch, and every time I stood up, I felt like I was wading through invisible syrup. I remember staring at my fridge door for over 5 minutes, convinced that if I opened it, something impossible would be inside. T plus 2 hours, 15 minutes. Dream logic. I sat back down and closed my eyes and slipped into full-on dream sequences. Now, instead of visuals, it was scenes. I was walking down a forest path, but the path was my rug. The forest floor had the same pattern as my carpet. In that moment, it made perfect sense. When I opened my eyes, I half expected to still be in the trees in my living room, and honestly, for a second, I did. T plus 3 hours. The loop. Time broke down completely. I'd reach for my vape and it felt like I was doing it dozens of times. And each time I couldn't tell if I'd actually picked it up. I was caught in circles, loops. And the strangest part, there was a presence. Not threatening, but definitely there. Like someone was standing behind me, watching. Every time I turned quickly, I almost caught a glimpse of them, like a dark shadow in my peripheral, slipping away at the perfect time. T plus 4 hours. My girlfriend arrives. She showed up mid-loop, which grounded me a bit, but I still wasn't sure if she was real. She looked flattened, like a paper cutout of herself. Her voice echoed like she was speaking through a giant metal pipe. She asked if I was okay, and I said slowly, I'm fine, but this is not a weed high. She left, but the laugh stretched out, overlapping itself in my ears. It was wild. T plus 5 hours. The peak begins to fade. Things mellow, but the dream logic still rules. We smoked a joint together, and suddenly my apartment wasn't an apartment anymore. For about 10 minutes, I was convinced we were in a wooden cabin. The walls looked different, the air was heavier, and even the cars outside sounded like distant howls. I felt wrapped up in warmth. The earlier weirdness didn't scare me anymore. I kinda just let it flow, like an electricity. electricity through my veins. There's a little typo there. Ha. T plus 7 hours. Sleep. Sleep hit hard. Classic substance-induced sedation. But it wasn't normal sleep, it was fragmented. I woke up every hour thinking it was morning already, only to see the clock had barely moved. Each time I went back under, I dropped into vivid dreams that bled into my real surroundings. The next day, I woke up groggy, head foggy, stomach a little sore, but emotionally, I felt calm, almost cleansed. Not like an alcohol hangover, more like I'd spent the night wandering through another dimension and finally made it back. Would I do it again? Yeah. Definitely not casually. This is no party drug. It's more like visiting an ancient dreamlike place and staying too long doesn't feel like a good idea. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of his trip report. Now, from what I gathered, whatever he took, whatever was in those gummies, was definitely not your average hallucinogen. I've got more stories coming soon, including some of my own, but I wanted to get this one out there since it's been quite a while since I've posted. If you enjoyed it, drop a like, maybe share your own experiences in the comments, consider subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.